What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Bitcoin Cash with the low today of $602.55. We're at 607 right now. I did make the call yesterday that I thought we'd run down, and as is classic with any of my calls that I make, the price went up. It went up immediately after I made that call. But here we are back down engulfing this candle, definitely showing some indecision up here. If we look at the RSI on a daily perspective, we are in this nice little uptrend, right, where we're moving up both on the lows and on the highs, doing this little upward move. It would make sense that we could come down. And generally speaking, whenever you see overbought readings and then you get out of the overbought zone, that does bring a correction, right? And we can, whether it's a correction or a consolidation phase, whatever, the last time you were overbought, you got out of the overbought zone here. It wasn't like this long drawn out phase of pulling back, but you did pull back like another day, and really you consolidated for like a week or two is what that did whenever you got out of the overbought zone. Now, when you were consolidating, were you moving down that whole time? No, it was from the 11th of November until the 21st of November. So basically 10 days there, you were just moving sideways, moving down and moving up with a range high to low of 16%. Right, so a 16% drop. Of course, you weren't as overbought as you are now. You weren't overbought as long as you are now. We could see a more intense drop off from here. Our volume has only decreased as we've increased in price. So I think that we could see something larger than this drop off, of which was, again, what is like 16.5, 16.3%. If we were to measure 16.3% from the current high, 16.3% from the current high would put us at $535, and I am expecting that we see a bigger drop down than what we saw over here. So something greater, something lower than 535 is coming our way, guys. This is essentially what I'm getting at. I wouldn't be surprised if we pulled back down to maybe like the lower ends of this little consolidation phase here, this little like sideways movement here, which is also the top ends of this sideways movement here. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw an overall pullback from high to low of 25%. I wonder if we put fibs in too. Come on, that's not what I wanted to do. If we put fibs in, I wonder if that'll do anything. Low to high. Would that be the low that I want, or would this be the low that I want? Look at that. It comes in right there with the 382 pretty well. I guess that's not the 382 where I had the measurement down. The 382 is more at 462. I don't know if we go as low as 462, but I'm accepting of it. I definitely am accepting of it because that line, that 382 right there at 462, we take away the fibs. It does come in pretty well with this area of resistance. It misses this area of support barely, and then it tips this resistance here. Somewhat of an area of significance in relative history, so I would think that it is possible, completely possible, to go all the way back down to 460. Wouldn't that throw a lot of people off? And I mean, that would be a huge, that'd only be like a 28% pullback. Anybody right now, anybody holding Bitcoin Cash right now that thinks that's impossible, we've moved up too much to go all the way back down that low. Let me take you on a stroll through time. Let's go all the way back in time here, okay? Let's do it. We're gonna do it, buddy. So here we are last cycle, having this phenomenal move up, right? I would love it if we were to do anything of the sort like this right now, but larger. Obviously, we want it to be larger, right? But on this phenomenal move up, we did not move up in a straight line, did we? We had moments where we moved up and where we moved down. We had a moment where from the 23rd of December in 2020 to the 9th of January in 2021, we moved up 143%. I bet nobody at that point where we moved from $270 all the way up to $654, basically where we're at now, from dramatically lower prices than where we just came from, I bet nobody was expecting that we would see a 43% pullback right there, but it happened. And really it happened in the first 2 days. We saw most of that move take place, right? And that's actually very common with Bitcoin Cash whenever it does decide to sell off, right? You see this immediate sell-off, and then it doesn't recover immediately. It just dumps immediately. Then we move sideways, and then we pump, right? You dump immediately, then you kind of move sideways, and then you pump later, right? Dump immediately, then you move sideways, then you pump later. That's pretty, and we've seen that this cycle too. That's pretty characteristic of Bitcoin Cash. But you can go through, there's various points where we've just dropped 40% all the way up here, right? It's very, very, very common. So for Bitcoin Cash, from a price of $640 to have a very modest pullback, and it is modest, all the way down to 460. If you think it's crazy, it's not crazy. And in fact, we've actually done crazier from this exact same price, right? Like literally this exact same price area. So I am expecting that. I don't know if I'm expecting a pullback all the way to 460 myself, but something around 460 to 500 is what I'm thinking. Certainly something below 535, because again, just going off of the first metric that I went off of, which is getting out of the overbought zone in a move that wasn't as substantial as this, that didn't have as much divergences going on as this, that wasn't as overextended as this, also that wasn't happening in a time where the rest of the market seems to be on a pullback itself. If this pullback was 16.3%, I would assume that this pullback will be larger. And if it is larger, then that would mean at least we're going to drop below 535. Okay, at least below 535. We're at 608 now. I don't know where to draw the fibs from. I don't know if that's the appropriate low. I mean, 470 seems about right. 460 could be right. 480 could be right. 500 could be right. But I'm thinking something around 500, if not just below 500, is what I'm expecting personally. And really, you know, Bitcoin Cash loves to find support just below the green line, right? All these little areas finding support just below the green line. Here you didn't find support below the green line at all, but you started to find support here. Maybe now that we're in our bullish kind of phase again, maybe we do find support just below the green line. Maybe it starts moving up, and you know, by the time we get down there, we're right there. I don't know, and then we start to rally going into the new year. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. The way that I have this drawn would have us pulling back until after Christmas. I don't think it's going to take till Christmas. Again, like what we've seen with Bitcoin Cash in recent history and throughout its history, I would expect this pullback to be fast. It's going to be fast and scary, and then it'll be slow. We'll move sideways, and then going into Christmas week, we'll probably pump enormously, and then going into the beginning of December and the end of December, or beginning of January, end of January, we're going to see that move carry out to where we're expecting it to go, which is about $1,700 to $2,000. You guys, I don't think, and in case it wasn't clear from yesterday's video, I don't think that we will be at 1,700 to 2,000 by the end of the year. I think we're going there still. I just think that might be by the end of January instead. At the moment, I've refined my targets. I'm thinking by the end of this year of 2024, Bitcoin Cash will be above $1,000, but below $1,300, if not very close to $1,300. So that's my expectation. Certainly am expecting new highs relative to this. We'll see how it happens. If you don't think Bitcoin Cash can consolidate for the next week or two, and then on that last week or two of the year, rally to new highs, then you don't know Bitcoin Cash, man, because it doesn't need much time to see much move. It really doesn't, right? We can see a 75% pump in 1 week. We could see a 230% pump in 2 weeks. So yes, we can consolidate for this next week, this upcoming week. We can consolidate for most of this week, even most of next week. But before Christmas, I would expect we start moving back up again. We probably won't be above this high or even above this high before Christmas, but we'll have found our low sometime early this week. I would guess sometime within the next 3 or 4 days, honestly, we find our low. And if we don't find our low within the next 3 or 4 days, if we don't see this kind of immense sell-off happen and it's at our low in the next 3 or 4 days, then maybe over the coming week where we move sideways, we find a slightly lower low, and then that's when we start to rip up. But again, going back in time, just to end this video off real quick with Bitcoin Cash doing what it loves to do. Whenever it moves up, if we look at this whole consolidation phase here, right? You look at this move up and then it's consolidating. Where did it find its low of this move in this consolidation? It found its low right here. If you took a whole box of this time frame that it consolidated, it found its low in the very, very, very beginning, right? If it's a stick of butter, you took a tablespoon or two out, right? Like it did not take a half stick there. It found its low very, very early on. You know, here, same thing. You're moving up. You're moving on up. You had your move up. You consolidated here. Where'd you find your low? You had an initial sell-off. It took 3 days to form. You found your low, and then you moved sideways. You had like a double bottom, and then you moved up, okay? Here, you sold off rather immediately, and this was the beginning of a longer trend down, of course, but you still sold off rather immediately, moving sideways before progressing with the move, right? Same thing here. It's the same words. Moved down immediately, moved sideways before progressing with the move. Moved down immediately, moved sideways before progressing with the move. It's just this move was up, this move was down, if that makes any sense. So Bitcoin Cash, very prone to these volatile, high velocity moves. Do not be threatened by it. Be ecstatic about it. Be excited about it. That's one of the reasons. And if it's not your reason for loving Bitcoin Cash, that's okay. I love Bitcoin Cash for so many reasons beyond what I'm about to say. But one of the reasons I love Bitcoin Cash the most is actually how volatile it is, how fast, how ferocious it can be. You can see these little movements here like this, and really it's like overall it was just boring. It was sideways. If you just close your eyes for a month, it's at the same price. But if you're keeping your eyes open, there are these little quick high velocity moves that do happen. It's a very friendly coin for trading. It really, really is. Maybe not so much in moments like this, but for most of its life, it really is a pretty friendly coin for trading. And this is one of those moments that testifies to that statement there, because we probably do get a very immense sell-off. It would make sense that we go back to this exact area where we found resistance and support, kind of near this area of resistance here. It would make sense we go back below $500. So with that, I leave you. I got nothing else to say. Daily RSI is about to get out of the overbought zone. 4-hour RSI is starting to look like it wants to come down. We're just hanging on the edge of a thread right now, man. We're hanging on the edge of a cliff by a thread. About to go down. Gravity's about to take course. And that's all I got to say. So if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you all very much. I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye-bye.